Checking and servicing of visible cooler and bottle cooler and its parts, part 2.
Hello, my name is Jared. I welcome you all to today's session. In part 1, we learned to check the components of the cooler. In this video, we are going to learn how to service the bottle cooler and visible coolers. At the end of this exercise, you will be able to service bottle cooler, service visible cooler. Now, let us take a look at the equipment, materials, and tools required to do this exercise.
As you already know the list of tools, equipment and materials required from part 1 of this video, let us directly look into the procedure. Task 1. Service external body of cooler. First, if the bottle cooler is turned on, you should turn it off and unplug it. Next, move the bottle cooler to a clean, workable area and take out any food items stored inside. Switch off the unit until any accumulated frost has completely melted and drained away. Wait for 10 to 30 minutes to ensure all the water has fully drained out. Once you're sure all the water has drained, start by cleaning the outer body of the bottle cooler with a dry cloth. Afterward, prepare some warm water in a container. Take a piece of soft cloth, like one made from banya material, dip it into the warm water, and gently wipe down all 4 sides of the bottle cooler as well as its lid. Repeat the above process several times until all the dirt is removed. After you've thoroughly cleaned the bottle cooler, grab another clean, dry cloth to dry the external surfaces. Do not rub the exterior when it's dry to avoid leaving scratches. Finally, for a finishing touch, apply a light layer of silicone or wax polish to the external body of the bottle cooler. This will not only clean it but also give it a nice glow, making it look as good as new. Note: never use hot water for cleaning the outside of the unit. Do not use heavy detergent as it will diminish the paint graft detrimental to its protection. Pay particular attention to the section in steel. Service inner body of the cooler. After completing the cleaning of the external body, ensure that the power remains switched off. Begin by using a dry cloth to remove any water from the inside cabinet of the cooler. Next, take a clean cloth dipped in water and wipe down the inner body of the cooler. For a thorough clean, use a cloth dipped in a mild soap solution to wipe the inner body. Add a drop of vinegar to soap water to eliminate any lingering bad odors. Similarly, clean the inner liner of the door with the soapy solution. Repeat this twice or thrice until all dirt is removed from both the inner compartment and the inner lining of the door. Rinse the inner compartment thoroughly with plenty of water. Check the drain pipe for any blockages and clean it if necessary. Finally, dry out all areas of the inner compartment and inner door liner using a clean, dry cloth. Service door lid of the bottle visible cooler. Start by gently opening the door of the cooler. Examine the door gasket closely, paying special attention to its fitment and looking for any damage at the 4 corners. Test the sealing capability of the door gasket by closing the door and using a feeler gauge between the gasket and the sealing area. Check how well the door aligns with the body of the bottle cooler. Remove the door to inspect the door hardware, ensuring everything is properly aligned. Lubricate the latch and make necessary repairs, which could involve adjusting the hinge assembly or replacing it entirely. Reattach the door, making sure to secure the latch and hinge assembly tightly. Finally, test the alignment and ease of movement of the door by opening and closing it multiple times. Servicing the external system. Clean the compressor and condenser with a vacuum cleaner, preferably one with a nozzle and brush attachment. If the vacuum cleaner can't reach all areas, use a fine brush for the condenser, placing a cloth or paper underneath to catch debris. Make sure to remove all impurities like dust, dirt, and oil from the coil. Inspect the aluminium fins for any damage or bending. Straighten any damaged fins with a condenser fin comb to restore the original condition, which helps optimize airflux. Ensure the fan is securely attached to its frame. Check the fan motor bearing for lubrication and end play. Lubricate fan bearing using standard lubrication and do not use refrigeration oil to lubricate the fan motor. Look out for any vibration noise from the condensing unit and check for any loose baffles and ducts, as well as fan and motor vibration. Check, service electrical wiring and components. Note, wear rubber boots for safety while carrying out the below exercise. Ensure the electrical supply is stable when working on the electrical circuit. Use a voltmeter to test the open circuit voltage. Power on the unit and measure the voltage again, noting that open circuit voltage should be slightly higher than the running voltage, typically by about 5 volts. A difference of 10 volts suggests a problem. Inspect the compressor for overload. Check the motor winding and the wiring in the wall outlet. Verify that power is reaching the compressor motor. Disconnect all wiring from the motor compressor. Perform a manual start test on the motor compressor. Attach the ground clip to the compressor's body as shown and connect the other leads accordingly. Press the manual switch to close the run circuit, followed by the start circuit. Use the manual switch to simulate the starting and running of the compressor, observing the correct operation. Lift or release the manual switch after 2 seconds to open the start circuit. If problems persist, continue troubleshooting the external circuit. Additionally, test the evaporator and condenser fan motors with a manual pin code as described. Examine the starting relay, overload protector, and thermostat, following the recommended service procedures. Finally, start the unit to assess its performance, ensuring all connections are correctly made, including the common, run, and start terminals of the compressor, with the clip grounding appropriately. Use the manual switch to test the start and run functions as part of the service process. Note: electrical connections must be clean and tight. If loose or dirty, they will overheat. This overheating will discolor the connection. Refer always circuit diagram given in nameplate or manual of the unit installed for servicing. Task 4. Clean the sheet metal parts and components. First, ensure that the unit is disconnected from its power source. Next, take a piece of clean cloth to wipe down the exterior body, which is made of sheet metal. If there are stubborn dust particles, use a damp cloth instead to ensure they are thoroughly removed. Proceed to open the unit's door and carefully remove any shelves or racks, made of metal or plastic, from the interior. These shelves or racks should then be washed under running tap water. After washing, leave them out to air dry in atmospheric air. Following this, the inside surface of the cabinet needs to be cleaned. Start with a dry piece of cloth and then use a damp cloth that's warm to ensure a thorough clean. For removing dust or dirt trapped in the tight spaces of the condenser or evaporator fins, a vacuum cleaner will be most effective. Note: 1. The above subtask is applicable for the units which is having forced convection fin type condenser and evaporator. Cause: 2. When cleaning the internal cabinet, add a drop of vinegar in the warm water. Dip the clean wasted soft cloth into the warm water vinegar solution and take it out for cleaning. This method helps to remove the odor, if present, inside the cabinet. 3. Wear hand gloves when carrying out the cleaning process. Practical demo image required. Moving on to the electrical and mechanical checks. Begin by measuring the input voltage with a tongue tester to confirm it falls within the operational range. Note: if the unit has a voltage stabilizer, check the output voltage. the unit must be disconnected from the power supply when performing this task. The seal of the door gasket against the cabinet should be inspected to ensure it's airtight. Any play in the fan motor's end should be checked for and corrected if present. Verify the unit's levelness using a spirit level meter, making sure that its legs or caster wheels are properly settled on a flat surface. Additionally, ensure that all the bolts, nuts, and screws, particularly those holding the fan motor and compressor fan, are securely tightened. After these preliminary checks, power the unit back on. Observe the cabinet light to ensure it turns on when the door is opened. Check for any vibrations in the unit. If any are found, identify the cause and rectify it. Listen carefully for any unusual noises that could indicate a problem. If you encounter any, locate the source of these noises and address the issue. To test the thermostat, turn its control knob fully in the anticlockwise direction and observe whether the compressor and fan motor turn off. After waiting for 3 minutes, turn the knob slightly in the clockwise direction and watch for the compressor and fan motor getting restarted. Once done, turn off the unit and disconnect it from the power supply again. Finally, inspect the wiring connections for any looseness, ensuring that all terminal clips are securely in contact. Replace defective worn-out parts spares. Note: before carrying out the subtasks, it is very important to confirm the defect clearly if a part spare needs replacement. Start by identifying and replacing any parts or spares that are defective or worn out. For instance, if the mounting bolts, nuts, or washers are found to be unusable or worn out, they should be replaced. Similarly, any terminal clips that have loose connections with wires or terminals need to be exchanged for new ones. If the cabinet light is discovered to have a fused filament, it should be replaced as well. Should there be any damage or kinks in the drain water line, it's necessary to replace that too. Replace the fiber washers in the fan motor bearings if the motor is found with the defect shaft end play. Any fan blades that are broken or cracked need to be exchanged. Also, any compressor spares, such as the relay, overload protector, or capacitors that are found to be defective or weak, should be replaced. If the door gasket appears worn out, it too needs replacing. Next, it's important to lubricate the mechanical parts. Use an oil can to lubricate the bearings of the fan motor if it has oil holes. If any defects like low cooling or no cooling is found, check for leaks in the refrigerant tubes. Prepare a soap solution by mixing a small amount, 100 ml, of water with soap. Apply this solution to the braced joints of the refrigerant tubes using a sponge and check for any leaks. If a leak is found, it should be promptly rectified. Paint the sheet metal parts. The sheet metal parts of the unit require careful inspection for rust formation or areas where the paint has peeled off. Once identified, these areas should be repainted with a matching color paint enamel and allowed to dry naturally in the air. Finally, recheck the performance of the unit and record the parameters to ensure everything is functioning correctly. Reconnect the power supply to the unit and arrange to record the temperatures inside it. Turn the unit on and ensure it restarts without any issues. Begin to monitor the time and start filling in the details on the record sheet, ensuring all observations are accurately noted down.
We have come to the end of the exercise. Thus, we have learnt to service bottle cooler and visible cooler. Hope you have a clear understanding on this. Do this exercise with the help of your instructor. Thank you.